Welcome back, everyone, to the Soft Talk Hard Truths podcast. I am he. I go by the name of Jay. Jay is what I go by.
Hey everybody, and I'm Shay. Welcome back. Welcome back.
And I'm just thinking of a show when the single, when O just said, "I am he, and he is me." Love that show.
Overton was cool.
Yes, Linda Single is cool. Friends can suck it. I said what I said. But we're not here to talk about Friends. But first,
No,
before we start off, hey, bye. Talk to your boy.
you got your bye today. You got your bye. I don't have my bye
Yes.
today, so today I am on a Celsius vibe. I got to work out when we're done, so
Fair enough.
get me a
I
little
feel
pep.
I feel like we both gonna go need whatever it is that we're sipping on for this
Exactly,
episode. So.
exactly. Especially when I knew what we were going to talk about, I was like, okay. I was going to work out beforehand, and I said, no, you know what? I'm going to wait. I'm going to save it because I feel like I'm going to have a better workout after we have this conversation.
Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Same here. So this was the second attempt, I guess, to talk to talk
Right.
about Black women and softness. It's definitely something that we both want to talk about, and I promise you, at some point, fam, we gonna talk about it. But
So, we
but I
will.
called. We will, I promise. But I called Shay yesterday and let her know that I got to hijack the topic for today. For today, because I just want to talk about us, Black women and Black men. So in a way, we are kind of staying on topic a little bit because at least in my opinion, again, I'm a dude, so I don't want to speak for women, but I imagine that part of living a soft life is living with a sense of safety, not having to be in fear of certain things or certain people. Uh, I'm curious to know how you feel about that, Shay.
Yeah, it's definitely part of the soft life. Being a soft life is just not being in survival mode, right? So if you're afraid for your safety, then you're definitely trying to survive. Um, and unfortunately, as women, I feel like we are too often in survival mode in very intimate situations, which is not good. And I guess that's how we got to want to talk about this topic, because it correlates. It's the people sometimes that we trust the most that do us the most harm.
Yes, exactly. I well, first off, just brace yourselves, family, because it's a deep, it's a serious topic, but I think it's definitely a conversation that we need to have, and not just stop at the conversation, actually build upon the conversation. But um, it's April, and for the last, it's mid-April, and it just seems, at least to me, like for the last 2 weeks, um, there's been just a large number of Black women who have been killed by people who are close to them. I think, and I have a list here, and we'll definitely identify them because it's very important to uh, say their names and know who they are,
Hmm?
which is part of the issue because as I was doing my research on these women who unfortunately were killed, um, I noticed I saw a trend. I entered their names, and 90% of the time, what came up first was a person responsible for killing them, as opposed to anything about who she was in her life.
Right, right, right.
Um, and again, it's definitely relevant, but it's just interesting that even in death, unfortunately, were very male centered. Like I actually had to like find search for articles that actually talked about their lives as opposed to just the person who took or the people who took them. Um, and it's it's a very interesting conversation for me. I think it's probably the first time like I've had or actually I'm actually talking about this. I have my thoughts and whatnot, but something about these these murders, so that there's no other way to describe them, and just how close they were, and then just the conversations that surround them, particularly around Dr. Serena Fairfax. What I definitely want to focus on. I don't know, just bothers me. Uh, but I'll you know let me not run off a list, but let me share who these women are, and then let's talk about it. um, I am not going to mention names of the people who killed them. I don't think it's worth. I, I think enough time has been spent talking about who they were.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to focus on these sisters. So the first one is Dr. Serena Fairfax, mother of two and a dentist. She was shot and killed by her husband, who then killed himself. Um, Pastor Tommy McCollum was shot and killed by her husband. Um, uh, Nancy Matea Brown, I hope I said it correctly. Uh, Florida vice mayor, was killed by her husband. And then there's that content influencer Ashley Robinson. A lot of people know her as Ashley Janae. Died in Africa under what they're calling mysterious circumstances. I guess pretty honestly said that she hung herself, but that's questionable to say the least. Apparently, they were on a trip, and during the trip, they actually had to be separated because there were some conflicts. Um, I will say, out of the people that I'm going over, that I'm telling you about, the alleged killer is the only one that's in this case is the only one that's a white male. But moving on, Qualicia Barnes. I hope I said that correctly. She was a rapper from Detroit. She was shot and killed in Atlanta. Apparently, she was also 14 weeks pregnant. It's reported that she was shot by her boyfriend, who did not want her to keep the baby. Um, Devontae Curtis, a trans woman from Chicago. She was unfortunately beaten to death by her on again, off again boyfriend. Uh, according to reports, and I really wish I was not making. I wish that this wasn't true. I wish I was making this up. The alleged killer Googled how to kill someone with a hammer, and also Googled if a person gets hit in a hammer while sleeping, what happens before allegedly murdering this woman. And lastly, well, second to last, is Barbara Deere, a licensed speech pathologist who worked for 2 decades with the Chicago Public Schools. She was shot and killed by her son, who then turned the gun on himself. And lastly, this she unfortunately passed months ago, but young woman. Unfortunately, I don't have her name at this time, but she was found in the car of the artist known as David. David recently, I think last couple of days ago, was just arrested in connection with her death. So
I believe she's Celeste Rivera.
okay, yes, uh, it's and, the the sad part is like, this is nothing new. Black men are unfortunately uh, harmed, hurt, murdered by people close to them far too often. But it for some reason it just seemed, and again, these are just the ones that made the news. Who knows what what we haven't even found out. So I guess that's also why we're talking about these, and I guess why these stand out to me, because again, these are the ones that stand out. I think also with the help of social media, you're able to get the information a lot faster. So um, it can see, I guess, it gives the appearance that everything's happening all at once, but still, there's there's no there's no number that's acceptable for these. But yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, yeah. Let's get into it. We named these women, and the most unfortunate part about a conversation like this for me, especially as a black woman, is that this list is just a drop in the bucket of the many many women who have suffered the same fate, because we just don't get the right protection as black women. There's too many times. I mean, there have been murders, assaults, even sexual assaults, caught right on camera of, minorities, women. And nobody did anything. Nobody stepped in. Nobody said stop. Nobody does anything, but they do record. Um, and this is not just, of course, this happens with all other types of things, but this is the topic we're speaking of. And to me, it's just egregious that you could actually, watch a woman who is part of the protected population be harmed and not feel like you want to help. You know, if you're another woman, you put yourself in their shoes. If you're a man, I feel like there should be some type of inner instinct to protect. And how about just as a human being? And we can start there, right? Because we're all human beings, and there should be some type of empathy for another human being. Even if you look, matter of fact, I'll take it a step further. If you look at some of these stories, right, and you go onto social media posts of different things, and you look at the comments, look at what some of the comments say. Look at how people frame what has happened to people. A lot of times, the victim is shamed and blamed for a lot of things, that they will say, I guess, is contributory to what happened to them.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's an important piece of this conversation, is how a lot of black men are framed, and or talked about. The onus is always put on them to protect themselves, not put themselves in a certain situation. Don't go certain places. Don't wear certain things. Don't say certain things. Don't drink certain things.
Hmm?
Um, particularly like when during a case of sexual assault, so as well, what are you wearing XYZ? What did you expect? Well, she expected not to be assaulted.
There's that part.
She she expected not to be killed. I think that's a reasonable, or that was a reasonable expectation. But
Not asking for much.
not asking for much. I think I not raping somebody really should be the barest of minimums. Um, but it's just like apparently it's not. Um, You mentioned, men, excuse me, men should have like the instinct to protect women. I saw, um, I really wish I remembered the creator's name, but I saw it in passing, but it just stuck with me. Um, but it was a woman creator because, of course, it was. The smart things tend to be sent up sent up by women creators. So shout out to her. Well, basically, she said, women don't need to be protected by men; they need to not be harmed by men.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's it. I agree with her 1,000%.
yeah. And yeah, I can't argue with that. I can't.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't have one, you probably don't need the other.
Right. Yeah.
No,
There's that part. Yeah.
because when you think about it, we men, we love to throw around that phrase for protect and provide, and it's like, well, okay, you know what, we're not living in the age of like saber tooth tigers no more.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what are we protecting the women from? Typically us. And we know this. Um, like we know how we are. Like that's why we say some of the shit that we say. Don't wear this. Don't go this. Don't go to this place after dark. Don't go here after dark. Don't do this.
Mm.
Like we're not saying that because there's women out there raping and killing, killing women.
Right. Right. Understanding what, the potential of other men out there.
Right. Um, and this isn't a. This is definitely not going to turn into, excuse me, one of these man bashing discussion. But facts are facts. Um, most of domestic violence, murder, suicide, murdering of partners, violence in general tends to be perpetrated by dudes. Like there's just no way around that. If you got a problem with it, you could not do it. Or we can be better at calling out some of the toxic behavior that we exhibit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's something that I'm trying to do. I realize I have to be better at realizing that part of healing how I interact with and deal with women isn't just the things that I do or don't do, but trying to and doing, not just trying, but calling out behaviors of other men. Preventing certain things from being said or happening or challenging certain attitudes. Just you know, just because I don't walk around calling women, bitches and hoes, that in of itself doesn't mean that I'm not sexist or not. I'm not misogynist. It's more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Again, there's that's bare minimum.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like what am I actually actively doing to combat that? So that's something that I gotta be better at. Um, and that's something, yeah, and if we're thinking, well, it's something that we don't want to do, or you know, any sort of resistance to what I just said, I would just say, ask yourself why. Is it is it because the dangers and penalties of challenging or the wrong person who looks like you? Are you afraid of a certain reaction that a man may have if you challenge what he says? Because that you might have a little inkling as to what it's like to be a woman in this country or this planet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't remember being taught to, uh, you know, be agreeable to most things, or not to be silent and to not go somewhere. after a certain amount of time or not with X, Y, Z. Be careful who you hang out with. Like we don't we don't really get that lesson.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's our
Uh,
staple, as you know, from the time
yeah.
we're little.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, I was talking to actually I had this conversation years ago with the friend that we're no longer friends anymore of all people. But her and I were talking kind of about this thing because even um I don't know I the way I see the world is interesting to me because like I tend to notice when like people say shit and do the exact opposite
Mm-hmm.
and then try to operate like it's normal when it's not. Like, no, bitch, it's not.
It's not. Yeah, I hear you.
But I was telling her, I was like, I was this is me and her. I'm thinking of how much trust like the average woman has to have, like being with um a man. Like just the thought of her laying down, just laying down next to someone who probably outweighs her, is stronger, is bigger, taller, faster, all those things, and to have trust in this person because it's like you know I'm not the biggest person, but I'm 6 feet, 200 pounds. you know you need to
Yes, it don't
need to
matter.
know all that.
Mm-hmm.
It don't matter. It don't matter. 200 and something
Mm-hmm.
on a good day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, so I'm going to be larger than most, probably any woman that I with. But the trust in knowing that I'm not going to attack her or do any of these things, that's just something that I don't have to worry about. Like it wouldn't even occur to me. But I just did this checklist in my head, and it's probably not even like 20% of the entire checklist because I don't know. Like I don't I'm not a woman, so I don't know all the the dangers to for lack of a better word of being on the other side of me. And I think that's something that we don't know. Like we don't know and appreciate what it's like to be on the other side of us. And we should, because we as black people we know what it's like to be on the other side of white people. And yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting, and like that's why
Yeah.
like, I'm trying to be more cognizant of that because it's like in a way you know what it's like, just apply it.
Yeah,
It's
because
like
it's applicable for sure. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. It's, you know what
but
though? You know what I think about? I mean, I think you're probably unique in a lot of ways with that and your thoughts and like, because not saying that there aren't men out there that are that way, but I have to tell you, I don't hear those things a lot coming from males. A lot of viewpoints that I hear sound very um they sound not even so much misogynistic. To me, it's disrespectful. I take those things as disrespect, right? So here's the thing. As a woman, right? Say I'm a woman, so I want to get dressed. I want to go out with my girlfriends or what have you. We're gonna go somewhere, and so maybe while I'm out, I meet someone that or I see someone that maybe there's an attraction, right? But guess what? There is also simultaneously there's apprehension. There's a little bit of distrust there, even though I don't know you, right? Because I personally feel like, and I'm sure a lot of women can, empathize with this. That's a big decision that you make start to try to talk to a man, because you hear all these stories, so you don't know what he's going to be like. Somebody can present a lot of ways of, when you first meet him, right? So, and then there's that thing where, you got to get through the beginning phases. So you got to trust, like, so if we want to go somewhere, right? It takes a lot for me to get into your car. It seems like something light, right? Oh, come pick me up and let's go out. But it's not, to me. That wouldn't be a light choice, because now I get in your car and now you are in complete control of where I'm going. And I'm in a car with someone who are all the things that you just described, and that the opposite of me. And I don't know how comfortable can I be, so there's like a little bit of a guard that's always up for a while. And for me, that would take me a while to let go of meeting somebody. I watch a lot of ID too, so I'll just put that out there. But guess what? They're real stories. The thing is, it's not fiction, right? Sometimes my mom's like, I don't know how you can watch that all the time. You know why I watch it? Because it helps me to learn things more about, self-preservation, and awareness when you're out and about, But yeah, I don't know if that's something, I don't know if you've ever thought about that when you've met a woman, if that's something that she might be thinking, but I can tell you, me, 100%, that's what I'm thinking when I meet someone. There's definitely a lot of, trepidation and a lot of uncertainty. And most of it is for
I'm
my safety.
I'm glad you asked me that, because I was about to actually give y'all the other side of that, just so y'all know how serious that is, and where Shay's coming from, because he's 1,000% right. Here's my checklist of what goes through my head in that same situation. Uh, I don't want to get no disease. I don't want to get anyone pregnant. That's like number one and two of the things that I'm thinking about. If I was in a situation, I'm thinking of, I'm thinking of leaving with a nice young woman, who's brown and thick. Shout out to y'all. We gon' we gonna always shout y'all out.
That is good.
But yeah, hey, but yeah, that's what goes through my head. Maybe in the peripheral, the outskirts, I might be thinking, hey, maybe there may be a small chance that she might have some other idea in mind. But I also know that I can probably do a decent job of defending myself if it came to that. I don't drink, so I'm not worried about anyone slipping me a little something something. Um, but like I said, that's like on the outer ranges of my thoughts. Number one and number two, ain't trying to get nobody pregnant, ain't trying to pick up nothing. I don't want to be burning
We
next
definitely
day.
don't want that.
Okay. Notice that I didn't mention any of the things that Shay mentioned, because it wouldn't even occur to me. Like that's a difference. And again, it's not that it can't happen, because there are plenty of times where not just women kill men kill other men.
Mm-hmm.
So like it can and does happen to
Mm-hmm.
us. Even with that threat, we don't think about that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get. I don't want to speak for the gay community. I don't know if that's what goes on, but at least for me, that's not like it may not be the furthest thing from my mind, but it damn sure ain't close.
Right. And it's two people, you're right. So two people, it's a man and a woman. And it's always like the same scenario. If you're straight, it's man, woman you meet, right? And those
Mm-hmm.
are probably more typical mindsets. I don't think a man meets a woman and has any concern for their safety on average, because like you said, more than likely, if anything goes left, you're good, right? You're going to take care of whatever it is. Um, but unfortunately, over on the other side, things do go left a lot. People end up being sexually assaulted. people end up being murdered. So it is a real concern as a woman. And that's probably part of the reason why I've never been a person to want to meet people like out. Not that you can't run into the same kind of people, in other places. But I don't know. I mean, so many stories you hear is like somebody met someone, and then those are kind of how the circumstances go. I mean, but then again, listen, there's also times when someone, you go out and then you just leave. Maybe you're trying to get an Uber and make it home. So sometimes you don't even have to. It doesn't even have to be that person you were in there talking to that you leave with, right? It can be another person that you encounter after you leave whatever environment you're in. Maybe you can't even get home safely. So that's another concern, right? Making sure like you always have somebody with you. So I'm never going to leave someplace and be by myself. Not happening. Don't trust it. I wouldn't be a person to be getting in any Ubers or Lyfts or whatever else they have out there by myself at nighttime. Nope. I've heard too many stories about that as well. So, those are things, they're unfortunate things, but they are realistic things that, that I think of. And I've had conversations with other women who say the same. And probably the younger you are, the more realistic that is for you, right? Because as you get older, we ain't doing all of that. We're not hanging out the same as, the younger folks. You all are hanging out and kind of putting yourself probably more so in those situations. The older you get, you kind of stay away from some of those environments to a certain extent. But I was telling my daughter, like, hey, man, listen, you keep your eyes open, right? You watch out there because you want to make it home.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like I've had, um, and I can appreciate, I guess, the ego hit because that's really what it is. Um, by some men who basically said, who feel like who hear that and basically would feel like, maybe they're not them being the enemy is strong, but basically that they're they can be perceived as a potential danger until proven otherwise. Like it sucks. It's not a great feeling, especially when you know the type of man that you are. Um, I would say get past it. That's really not. That- yeah, I would just say get past it. Hey, you've the one time you don't have male privilege. It happens. Um, hey.
You know what? How about this? Think about if it was your mother or if it was your daughter, right? So how would you want them to feel or think or behave, right? When they're putting themselves out there. So you got to figure every other woman is something like, she's somebody else's mother, father, mother, daughter, sister, whatever. So that's what we're told and that's what we have to do. Don't be upset if I say I don't want to come to your house. I don't know you like that. Sorry.
I will say that is something that I got a problem with. Not with what you said. Um, like that idea because it's like how many times have you seen where like women get assaulted, killed, or otherwise harmed, and then it's like you see particularly like with celebs, it's like as a father of a daughter or like as a father or like as a husband, it's like why the fuck do you gotta have a daughter for you to understand the worth of women?
Yeah.
It's like I understand where they're coming from, but it's just like to me, and again, maybe just the way my mind works is like why why do you gotta start off like that, like because my mind immediately I asked, so if you weren't married, if you didn't have a child, would you feel differently? And then it's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
it's but it's like no, this is wrong.
Yeah.
Like that's all I had to say. It don't matter if you have if you have one daughter, two daughters, married, unmarried, your parents here or not.
Yeah.
I have female relatives. Like you don't need that. You shouldn't need that to see women as people.
Yeah. Human being.
Yeah, human beings worthy of the respect that you would want as a human being.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Absolutely. Well, I got a question for you. So this might be
mhm.
slightly loaded, right? And so I often wonder like where the mindset comes from, basically from males, certain males, that women need to be dominated. You know, like to where it's like, so if we're going out, right, and we go out on a date, and I don't know you like that, and we start fooling around, and I say, yeah, so I'm good here, right? I want to stop here. I'm not comfortable if we move forward. And a man will say, well, you know, how about just a little bit? Or, do you really mean no? Or whatever it is that they say, right? And so I've had someone say to me, well, because a lot of times when women do that, they're just doing that because they're being coy or because they want you to be, I guess, more assertive. Right? I'm trying to be careful with the words because some of the words they use are not the words I want to use. Right. So, but to a certain extent, basically them saying like, yeah, well, that's what a woman is doing because she's playing, right? She wants it, but she doesn't want to let you know she wants it. Where the hell does that mindset come from? That's the stupidest shit I ever heard in my life. If I say I don't want something, I don't want it. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's a soda, if it's a penis, right? You understand? Listen, I'm just saying. Listen, I'm just being honest with you. I'm not doing the filter. I'm just putting it out there.
No matter if I want Dr. Pepper or Dr.
Yeah,
Penis. I say what I
correct.
say.
Correct. When I want it, I want it. When I don't, I don't. You know?
Don't matter if it's don't matter if it's cook or cock.
Correct.
I say what I
Correct.
said.
Exactly. I love it. That's what I meant. That's what I meant.
Um, I want to make. I'm going to answer the question. I just want to make sure that I'm not, I guess, talking about my pay grade in the sense that saying shit. I don't like. I'm there's more. There's more scientific and technical answer out there. I'll put it
Hmm.
that way. But there's for the non-technical folks like me, or for the people who like to speak plain English like me. Um, in my experience, it comes from several different places. A big one is religion. Unfortunately, as beautiful as they can be, and then as a someone, I'm not religious in any way, but I can appreciate the beauty in it. Um, there is a heavy misogynistic slant to some religions. I'm not, it's not just one, so I'm not going to single out any particular one. But yeah, how many religions establish the man as a head? Head of the household, head of whatever. There are a bunch of rules for women: how they act, how they interact, how they submit to their husbands. I mean, I'm not the most well versed in any sort of religious scripture. I'm pretty sure there aren't a bunch of scriptures telling men to submit to women. But we damn sure make sure that women submit to men. Uh,
Hmm.
Yeah. So there's some of that. Specifically about what you're talking about, yeah. There's the idea that men love the chase. And you do, but in like the situation that you just described, we got you. So it's like there's nothing no chase right there. So we don't then it's like it's that we love the chase. We don't like catch and release.
There you go. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Like like no like you say a woman says no because she wants to play this game. Like on the whole, that's not the case. Um, we're basically told to conquer. So it basically doesn't matter what she says. And we're supposed to get what we want, obviously what we want, um, the sex or whatever it is that we want. But we're taught, expected, told, you do what you have to do to get that. Whether it's trying to convince you, oh baby, please. My personal favorite, just this might be old school for some of y'all, but uh, just let me put the tip in.
You said it earlier, but I said no. Oh, okay, yeah, because that's one.
Some of y'all don't know about that one, but some of y'all are here because of that one. I'll just put that out there.
Mm-hmm.
As I was saying.
A whole song about that, by the way. Chris
Who?
Brown got a whole song where he talks about that. Where he talks about can he just stick the tip in a little bit, which is funny. Mm-hmm.
This, yeah. Breezy.
Breezy.
I had such high hopes for him. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, we're taught to try to convince you. We're taught to try to coerce you. Um, in extreme terms, we just don't take no for an answer, and we dominate you physically. Um, Unfortunately, a lot of this stuff comes in, quote unquote, locker room talk. It starts from when we're young. Obviously, we get it from watching uh, the men, I guess, in our lives talk about it. But yeah, that's what we're taught. We see it in the movies, in the songs, and commercials where pretty much uh, men are taught to think, act, and speak a certain way. Women are taught to think, act, and speak another way. It's not just one thing. And that's what we got to like take a step back and look at it. It's not just one thing. It really is like it's systemic. And it's been that way for I don't know, probably as long as men and women have been on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
It just kind of evolves in the sense, like technology. It just comes in different forms. Like instead of we don't instead of beating women over the head with a billy club and dragging them to the cave, we're putting like Molly in their drinks
Mm-hmm.
and then
Mm-hmm.
taking them back to the
Mm-hmm.
crib. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's also a big thing I didn't want to leave out is that we're taught in 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 some way, shape, or form that women really aren't able to make decisions for themselves. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they want, what they don't want. You have to convince them of what they want.
That
Um,
yeah, I've heard that.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
an example of this would be any female product on the market. Look, like look at least initially who's doing the R&D in the advertising, like who's in charge of those. It wasn't women.
Right.
Like you literally have men saying, "I know what women want." two women,
Right.
and they think of like the first. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but like think of like the first bras that were like marketed to women. These got these damn wires that I guess that stick up in in here that just weren't the most
The
comfortable
most
for women.
uncomfortable thing you could ever put on a breast.
Yeah,
And they come out
but
and stick you. Put that out.
yeah, yeah. But who in the R&D and in the marketing and the sales, like where were women anywhere in those chains? They weren't even even when you said this ain't comfortable. Oh, you get used to it. Like it was up to the woman to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
so like
It's
that's
true. It's unfortunate but true.
yeah. So like we there's just always as long as we've been here, there's always been the thought that we men know better, and you have to lead women.
Yep.
You hear that a
Mm-hmm.
lot. Um, Lead her and guide her somewhere. I don't know where. Um, they, they leave that part out. I don't know where we I don't know where we're going. I don't know I don't know how I got here, but I'm supposed to lead this person somewhere because I got a penis apparently. That seems to be the only qualification. When you drill down
Mm-hmm.
far
Mm-hmm.
enough, that seems to be the main qualification. So again, me with my weird brain, I always ask. So if you would have chopped that off, would you not be a leader no more?
Mm-hmm.
Um, they don't like that question.
Probably not. I mean, I think a lot of like even what you're saying, I feel like those words are part of the problem, right? Saying that women are it's you're expected to submit. You're expected to let a man lead you because I mean those are ambiguous terms, and so what does that really mean? What does that mean when you say I'm supposed to submit to a man, right? Because that's going to be individualized by every person who says it, and every situation is going to be different, right? So some of the terminology is like it's like we're almost just being set up before we even start. Before you even get to do anything, you're already set up. So I get married to somebody and I submit to him. What does that mean? You tell me what does that mean? I don't understand that. And I know there's even women that say that. Well, I want my man to lead me. Or I want to submit, and I don't understand what that means. Probably because I'm number one. I'm probably a very headstrong woman in that aspect, and maybe there's other women that don't feel like that. But I'm pretty independent and things like I don't want to be led. I'm all about teamwork. I don't want to submit to any. I'm only submitting paperwork, and documentation. And these are things that need to. So probably that's part of my problem, right? Because when I hear those words, that's what that means to me. I submit charts at work and documentation and paperwork for patients to get medicines and equipment. So what does that mean in my everyday life? Because if I can't, no, it's a no for me. Sorry, it's a no.
Well, I don't say I don't think it's a problem. I think there's a rightful sort of bristling at the notion of submission because um, when we men talk about submission, it's typically um, it's typically through the lens of like yesteryear and how men and women operated in marriages and dealing with each other before women had a lot more rights than they currently have now. Um, and I say this because typically again when you hear the rationale and start really drilling down, ultimately the men and some of the women who talk about submission typically talk about, well, my grandfather and my grandmother were married for 40 years, and she submitted to him, and everything turned out peachy keen. And it's like, sure, sure, Scooter. Um, yeah, your grandmother and your grandfather were married for 50 years and had 10 children, but you left out the part that your grandfather was 25 and married your grandmother at 16.
Mm. Mm.
Left left that part
Oof.
out. Left out the part where your grandmother was born in a time where a woman couldn't have her own bank account, couldn't have her own debit card, couldn't own, or going further back, couldn't own property. But if her father died, his property went to the husband. Speaking of property, if you go back further, women were property.
It's right.
Yeah, and since women were property, you could get away with a lot more
Mm-hmm.
than you can get away with now. Because as it turns out, you know you know what you can do to property? You cannot rape property.
You can't. You can't.
And again, not all men. That's what we're going
Yeah,
to
you
hear.
always have to say all, right? We're not talking about all, but whoever we're talking.
Yeah, but it's it's not all men, but it's enough.
Mm-hmm.
But like that's the part that gets left out when you start talking about submission. It was back basically when a woman was less than in some way, shape, or form. Um, and we just for some reason we can't deal with that. And again, and to me, it's weird because particularly as black men, like we have the parallel to this.
Mm-hmm.
like like we see white people bitching and whining about making America great again, going back to a simpler time. What the fuck do you think they mean? It's like
Yeah.
it's back when we had less rights than we had now. So
Correct.
it's like you should understand this.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I'm highlighting black men in this situation in this case because a lot of us are very definitely quick to call out racism. We're very quick to call out patriarchy, but what I find out is that we don't have a problem with patriarchy. We got a problem with white patriarchy.
Mm.
Like a lot of us just want to substitute the white man, us, for the white dude. No, I'm dead serious
Mm-hmm.
because we say that we got a problem when white men disrespect our women, but we had no problem doing it ourselves, doing this the same shit. And again, that stands out to me.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
just it's always come to me as very weird. Um, like I would imagine treating a woman like he's a second class citizen is wrong regardless of who's doing it. I and I can't imagine any black woman is uh fighting that fight just to switch from white men to black men doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that's the case. Maybe I missed that meeting, but
Me
but
too.
I don't I, I don't imagine that being the case. As evidenced by them bristling at it when it
Mm-hmm.
occurs.
Mm-hmm.
So um, also I tend to just ask women, hey, what do you want? I find that to be very effective. Um, uh, talking to women that's also kind of why I think some of the things that I think the way that I think because um, I don't know. I just have a conversation with women. I don't know why. Like I'm not trying to be condescending, but that's um literally it. Like 99% of why I think the way I do and talk the way I do and have certain ideals is just because of the people that I talk to. Um, you know, I've always had several like female friends, and I just ask them, "Yo, does this make sense?" And like they're like, "No." I know. It is like it is like you hear that enough times, then like, oh wow, there's something to this. Let me ask.
Yeah. And you know what? And listen, let me just say, right, because always as a woman, right, because there's always going to be people out there. So for whoever out there listens and says, oh, well, I feel like, you should do, as a woman, you should submit, you should let your husband lead you. Listen, so to each their own, right? Really, I'm going to tell you, if you like it, I love it. But it's not for me,
Bless your
right?
heart.
Just saying. So I'm just saying that maybe I'm just a little more modern thinking in that I don't want to submit to anyone. I don't want to have someone lead me. I also don't want anyone to submit to me. And I don't want to lead someone. I want it to be a cohesive relationship where we are doing things together. Everything I want to be mutual, So I guess and that's a big part of the issue that I take with someone saying, because to me it almost presents like right from the beginning, we're not on a level platform, and we should be if we are going to be entering any kind of relationship together. I feel like it should be a level platform. It's not going to be, okay, well, I'm already coming in as like subservient to you. Uh, yeah, that just doesn't work for me. It just doesn't work in my life and in the way that I am. And I feel like things just work better when you're able to talk to whoever it is that you're with, and you're able to make decisions together, and it's just not it's my way or that's it, right? Because nobody's right all the time, right? And so when you don't have that mindset, and I feel like when you're not that way, sometimes things work out better, right? Because it's not just me saying everything we should do this way, it should go that way, and you just let me lead and you just submit to everything I say, and it's also not vice versa, right? So then when your version of something is better than mine and your idea is better, that's what we go with, right? So we work together. So that's why I don't like those kind of words and those, that thought process. This is why it doesn't work for me, in particular.
Yeah, yeah. I guess I have three things. One, only dogs are taught to obey.
Mhm.
Just uh, two, I get on my own nerves. So how the fuck
Okay.
like how do so how just speaking practically, I'm supposed to lead a whole other person somewhere. I don't even know where the fuck I'm going half the time. Like you catch me on the right day and ask me my name, it's gonna be a
Mm,
problem.
mm. No, that's right.
And I gotta have thickums follow me.
Mm,
All right, hey,
yeah. Uh-huh.
and truth be told, that's kind of where a lot of us are. It's like, okay, I'm supposed to be the leader in the head, but okay, what kind of how you said? What does that mean? Like we're so concerned with the title. Like there's a whole job that comes
Right.
with it, and you know how do you do that job? I know I wasn't trained. Again, maybe I missed that class, but I don't I don't remember ever being in the
Yeah.
class for that. So we're supposed to lead. We're supposed to have people submit, have women submit to us. Okay, then what?
Right.
And then again, and this kind of leads into my third point. You know, a lot of times we don't consider that. Yeah, women are becoming more increasingly better off single than submitting and following us. And one thing that I had to learn is that we men, we're what is it called? Like main character syndrome. Uh, Basically, we expect to be the main character in both our story and your story.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So we don't consider that you know Shay may have her own sets of hopes and dreams and wants and desires, because Shay's hopes and dreams and wants and desires are supposed to revolve around what Jay's hopes and dreams and
Right.
desires
Right.
are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the only thing Shay should want is to find a husband. She should desire to find a husband. She should she should dream about finding a husband. She shall hope she finds a
Why
husband.
not? Because then he's gonna lead me to where I need to be.
Yeah, like that's again, like that's the part that doesn't get told. That's the part that doesn't get said.
Yeah.
I think the technical term is dog whistle. Yeah, t- that's what I believe it is meant, mainly because no one's pushing back. We're not pushing back
Mm-hmm.
on it. We know we've come to the place where we know enough not to just outright say that.
Mm-hmm.
So we say code words like traditional values.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Big one. Yeah. Yes.
yeah, you know
Yes. Mm-hmm.
that's what we
Yes.
say. Um,
We need
but
some sound effects. That one right there, that needed the bomb. That needed
when a clue clues bombs.
yes, yes, because that is the
Yeah,
one right there. Because that's exactly how it's all framed, and that's kind of what I was saying. It's like again, we say this a lot on this podcast. Everything traditional ain't good. So that's the thing with people with everything traditional and everything. This is the way it's always been, or this. The way things always have been are not really so good. I mean, we see that now. We're seeing the fallout from all of the things that maybe a lot of our parents and grandparents did in the ways that they lived. Not so great.
yeah,
Maybe that's why so many
yeah.
of us
Like
are
we
healing and unlearning survival mode. Just saying, just throwing that out there.
no, you're right. Like just because two people have been married for 50 years, don't mean they were happily married. I'm like, yeah, your mother or your grandmother, stayed with him for however long she did. Um, but how do we know that he wasn't knocking her head between the washer and dryer just because dinner wasn't ready at a certain time, or because she said no to his advances because she was tired?
We don't.
We don't. You know, women still today, but definitely back then, were taught to not talk about those things.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it happened, it's because something she did or she didn't
Right.
do. It couldn't just be because the man was a violent asshole. Like that could never be the case.
Correct. Yeah.
I think now that kind of going, shifting back to the first kind of to the beginning of the episode, now what we're saying is we have when men do something particularly atrocious, they must be mentally ill, and I personally just find that it's, it's insulting on several levels. Going back to Dr. Fairfax, I wasn't shocked, but I was, I guess, disappointed and annoyed by how quickly the conversation shifted from her being, a victim, for her from being a murder victim, um, who, was not only was she a murder victim, but she was murdered by the one person who really the only person who actually took a vow to protect her, and in the process orphan their children
Right.
because because he couldn't control his behavior, because he didn't want to have her leave him and get custody of their children. Never mind the fact that he was accused at least one occasion of uh, sexual assault of somebody else.
Wow.
Never mind the fact that he tried to frame her for assaulting him. And the only reason that didn't go as planned was because she had the wherewithal and the foresight to install cameras in their
Mm-hmm.
house to prove that he was lying.
Mm-hmm.
Never
Right,
mind that.
right.
Just
Leave all that aside.
leave it aside. Uh, the issue here apparently is that he was mentally ill, and again, not a mental health professional. I'm not going to sit here and say he didn't have some sort of mental illness. Uh, what I'll say is that it's interesting how quickly the conversation shifted to a discussion on black men and mental illness. Particularly disappointed, I guess, gentleman by the name of Roland Martin basically dedicated an episode to black men and mental health. I guess they're part of the same fraternity. Cool. One of your frat brothers dies. Yeah, I can imagine that sucks. What I can't fathom is um, essentially shifting the narrative. He was, you know, he murdered his wife and orphaned their children. There's no harm in stating what happened, because that's what
Right.
happened. Um, Mental health is is to me an afterthought, because there are plenty of there are plenty of mentally ill people who don't hurt themselves or others, who don't kill themselves or others. They somehow, some way, manage to make it through. So I think it's very disingenuous, and it's
Yeah.
insulting to that community, because what we're also kind of saying, in a way, is that, you know, he may be a murderer, or no, we're basically saying that to be mentally ill is like worse than being a murderer. That's kind of
Mm-hmm.
how I take it, because like, why are we so quick to like put the mentally ill part on somebody? And it's not just murder. It's, racism and anti-Semitism, really any sort of bad behavior. We're very quick to say, oh, it's
Yeah.
mentally ill.
Yeah.
What happened to
Yeah.
asshole? Like, what happened to just being an asshole? What happened to just being an asshole? Like, kind of how you and I talk offline about, Kanye West. Him getting, I guess he was banned uh in some parts of Europe from performing, and I guess he put out, an article or whatever talking about his mental health, which he tends to do every time he does. He says something racist or stupid or anti-Semitic, and I was like, yeah, probably does. He probably gets mentally ill, but it's just weird that, you don't see someone donating millions of dollars and then find out that they're mentally
Right.
ill. Like,
Right.
you don't see someone feeding the poor, helping the sick, which, by the way, I think a fellow named Jesus did, and saying that he was mentally
Right.
ill. Like, you don't find people trying to fight climate change or standing up for trans rights, and then, I'm
Right.
mentally ill. It's
Right.
never good shit.
No,
It's
it's,
always, it's
it's
always, it's always,
and that's the problem, right? I think that's what we were talking about. It's
yeah.
like mental health has become like the staple, reason, right, for poor behavior, which is crazy. It just doesn't make sense, right? Because every time somebody does something that is wrong, doesn't mean they're mentally ill. And just because you're mentally ill does not mean that you have the propensity to go out and do something wrong, right? So because that's essentially how people are kind of boxing it in. It's like, no, so there's some people that just do fucked up shit. That's just what it boils down to. Some people are evil, right? That's just what it boils down to. Let's take the same people they talk about, right? So before they did whatever egregious act that they did anybody ever said that they had mental health issues before that? Or is right away because what they did seems so far-fetched and abnormal to you that you automatically say they have to have mental illness? Because that's not the same thing, right? So it's like, because most of these people, when they do something, is when you hear they have mental illness. But you can go back and they will talk about these people. They'll take you all through their life. You never hear anyone say they had any problem with mental illness all the way up until whenever it was they did what they did.
Mm-hmm. And isn't it funny how, like, on the one hand, you have people, complaining that, this is, complaining about the number of, people talking about mental health and dealing with uh, mental health issues. But many of those same people, when something bad happens, quickly try to find something, quickly try to, use mental illness as a reason that their favorite celebrity, politician, whatever, did this thing. And it's like, you can't have it both ways, Sugarfoot. You got to pick one. Um, and stop going to rehab. Stop that shit. Stop. You say something racist or anti-Semitic or anti-trans or just stupid, and the first thing you want to say is I'm going to rehab. I'm checking myself into rehab. Rehab for
Right.
what? What? There's no rehab for being an
It's
asshole.
not.
It's called not being
Yeah.
an
It's
asshole.
really that simple.
Like in the old school, you just get punched in the face and told to stop being an asshole.
Basically what would
But
happen. Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. But we're trying to move away from that
Mm-hmm.
allegedly.
We are.
But
We,
uh,
yeah.
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 But there's like, what rehab is there for that? Like, you rehab, broken bone, torn Achilles. I can see, drug rehab, yes, but saying that slavery was a choice. I I think the rehab is going to your local library and finding a book and reading.
You know what though?
Say,
How about this? I mean, sometimes, listen, if you feel the way you feel, right, for these people that make these comments and say these things, right? So you said it. You obviously felt however you felt when you said the things that you said, right? So how about, if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. Stand 10 toes down on whatever it is you're saying, right? Don't come back when other people call you on it and now you want to act like, oh, I realize it's wrong. No, you don't. You don't. What you're doing is you're trying to save face with other people because deep down inside, you still feel however it is you feel. That's why you said or did whatever that was, right? So that's one of the biggest problems I have with these people. It's like, no, listen, say it with your chest or do it with your chest. That's what you did. Say, hey, no, I'm not apologizing for nothing. I'm not going to no rehabs. I don't care what you'll think about it because really, that's really how you feel. But you just don't want other people to know it. So it's like, come on. I mean, and even, listen, even if you do have mental illness, by the way, it doesn't mean you still can't do things that you shouldn't be doing and you are unaware that they're wrong. So I don't know where people get that from, right? So mental illness isn't a moral compass, right? I got mental illness, so I don't understand anything that I do that's wrong. That's not what that means. And that's actually really insulting to that whole population of people because that's not what that means. They still know. That's why you have all those people. Listen, they say, oh, it's mental illness. So they take them and they get them evaluated. And then they come back and say, no, this person is competent. Why? Because you know exactly what you were doing. Because whether you have mental illness or not has nothing to do with if you knew what you did was right or wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree. Stop coming out with these fake ass apologies. Stand on business.
Every
Okay? Be honest, like, cause you're not sorry. You just worried that that Nike check gonna
you
dry
damn
up.
right. You see what happened to all the rest of them.
You you worry about that Adidas deal going up in
Mm-hmm.
smoke. Like that's what the
Mm-hmm.
problem is. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, just stand on. Hey, stand 10 toes. Because at least we now know how to deal with you. And if these companies for the celebrities, but if these companies choose to stand by you, then we know what they stand too. We're looking at you, Target. So
Don't go there no more. I used to
no.
listen. I used to mess with you, Tarjay. You're done now.
Hey,
Yeah. Nope.
hey. Well, yeah, stand on it. Stop blaming mental health for your bad behavior. You're just sometimes you're just an asshole. Um, as a recovering asshole, hey, I can tell you it gets better. But you got to
Yeah.
work at it.
Yeah.
You got to work at it.
Yep.
It's like,
Or if you're a celebrity and you're an asshole, right? Just be a little smarter about the way you move and what you say, right? You go and say these things. We know that's how you really are when you're behind closed doors. But what happens is one day somebody catches you. There's an audio, there's a video, right? And now it's, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize. No, you realized. You realize because you're not stupid, right? And we know you realize. And now you're playing in our face. So that pisses us off on top of it, right? So listen, just keep your stuff, keep it to yourself. You can think things and not say them. Revelation for a lot of folks out there. Not every thought that you have has to be said out. Small change for every day of your life. Think before you talk.
yes, shutting or as Jay would say, shutting the fuck up is always an option.
There's always that part. Yes, it is.
See, Jay, I mean, I'm sorry, Shay give you the soft talk, Jay
I
give you the
know
hard
that's
truth.
right. That's what it is, folks. That's what it is, you know. Yeah, same. For sure, because that's what we're living with today. And you know what? And the other thing, the other girl, matter of fact, while we're talking, Ashley Janae. So she's on the other side of the spectrum, where so the whole situation took place with them, right? So listen, so they got all these videos and they're happy, and of course, why wouldn't
Hmm.
she be, right? Because you're in. Where was she? In Zanzibar, right? And so it's a, I mean, a trip of a lifetime. So I understand you're probably elated, and then all of a sudden it's, well, she hung herself and she had mental illness issues. You are taking away from the fact that something doesn't seem right about what happened with this young lady, and automatically you want to say she must have had some mental illness and she killed herself. Because you don't know when people have, when you don't know when people are suicidal, and you don't know this and you don't know that, all true, right? But it's not, it's, you didn't even, you're not even respecting her life or what took place with her, right? Give it a second before you right away. I mean, within 24 hours, you guys are condemning the lady, saying, "Oh, she has mental illness problems. She was suicidal." Do you know that? Do we have long enough to deduce that that's really what took place with her? We didn't even have enough details. Like you can't form an. So you know, part of I'll defer to my healthcare side, right? So I cannot diagnose you until I assess you, right? I have to fully assess you, and I can't look at you when you walk into my office and say, based on the way you look, I feel like you have X, Y, and Z. Even if I'm correct about one or two of the things, that's not the way you do things, right? You fully assess a patient, and then you come up with a diagnosis. You don't come up with a diagnosis before an assessment. So you can't be so quick. So that's the other problem I have with the mental illness part. It's like, so you right away just put her over there. Why could there not been something that happened to her in the beginning? Why did we have to wait? And then now, days later, it's, oh, well, yeah, the fiance is in custody. You should have just been quiet before you started saying all those things about this young lady, right? Until we got to where we're at now. Because if she was suicidal and this was all about mental illness, why is he taken into custody? Why are they now saying he's a person of interest? Because there is no person of interest when you're suicidal.
Hmm. Yeah, and to kind of piggyback on that, we're so quick to try to find some sort of mental illness issue that we ignore like the we ignore what could be the smoking gun. In this case, they were put in, apparently they were put into separate spaces because they were having what's called a domestic
Right.
conflict. Don't know what that means, but it's again the fact that they had to be
Says a
separated
lot.
because because of this issue, and then hours later she winds up dead. I would think you would at the bare minimum try to find out where go down that path first,
Correct.
because to me
Correct.
um that's just trying to add 2 plus 2. Maybe it doesn't end up being 4, but at the very least you at least eliminate it from from further consideration. But to have this here and to just sidestep that, trying to find, oh, she must have been mentally ill, like that also it's disingenuous and this
It
is
is.
dangerous. And too often with black women in particular, we we leapfrog over the glaring red light to try to find something that a lot of times doesn't even exist. And then once you've eliminated what doesn't exist, then we're like, oh, I guess we'll deal with this very obvious thing that's been here the entire
Correct.
time.
Correct.
Except you don't. We try to find some way to blame her
That
for her own
right,
death.
which is it's disgusting. And immediately though, I mean, this woman just passed away. That's just so disrespectful to do to someone. And I don't know. I don't know. I'll give a parallel. I saw a story in the news about a woman who went on a boat trip with her husband and she disappeared. And he said she fell off or something to that effect. This is a white woman, and her husband is also white. And it took them a little bit before they came back, and now all of a sudden it looks like they're trying to look at the husband. But you see, they didn't jump to the first thing that people said wasn't, oh, well, she jumped off the boat. She had to jump off the boat, right? Because he wouldn't do anything to her. But when it's actually, oh, well, she hung herself because what what else would have happened? What else could have happened to her, right? So it's I just find it weird that even from the beginning, how you'll see if it's sometimes other folks, the story takes one avenue, and when it's us, it goes the opposite. And so it's always interesting. Unfortunately, most of the time, it still comes back to the same endpoint, but it's just the route is different, and it's interesting, and it's very very interesting. And I guess we'll see what happened. But suicide to say somebody committed suicide is a big thing, and so you definitely no one should be running to say someone committed suicide. I mean, people have family and things like that, right? That hear these things right away, and so. And I think in her situation, it seems like if the family didn't push back, maybe we wouldn't have gotten to where we're at now. Because if I remember correctly, when they first said it, they said she committed suicide, but the family right away said absolutely not. So we want you to look more into it. Something seems suspicious. So I think they gave some pushback because unfortunately, I feel like maybe if they didn't, That's it.
Yeah, yeah, that's a very good point. A lot of times we're black people, black families are just expected to just accept what's been told to them. When when a their family member dies, like you see sometimes, police, medical examiners, whoever get offended. Like how dare you question this? Like how dare you suggest that I don't know that I might be wrong because I concluded that this person shot himself in the chest while he was handcuffed with his hands behind his back. Like, what do you, that happens all the time. You have any idea how many people we've handcuffed with their hands behind their back that why don't shoot themselves
Of
in the
course.
chest?
Let's.
Especially when there was no gun
Yep.
in the car. You know how often that
Every
happens?
day.
How dare you? How dare you try to impugn my
Every
reputation?
day.
Every
We
day,
shoot
happens every
ourselves,
day.
strangle ourselves to death.
Yes, but we're saying, cool. You have all the experience in the world, but just on the off chance uh, that he didn't shoot himself in the chest because his hands were behind his back.
Yeah.
Maybe look again.
Yeah, that's all. That's all I'm saying. I mean, sometimes, honestly, and I thought that when it comes to things like suicide anyway, I thought that those are things that people were always supposed to look into, before you go and say someone committed suicide. You're supposed to make sure that there's nothing else there. Any death that's suspicious. I thought really the whole point was you're supposed to look into it, before you come up with some silly cause of death, that then later on you have to recant because, as we all knew, you were wrong. So, but again, a lot of that I think has to do with who the victims are. We just don't seem to get that kind of diligence, for our family members and ourselves. And there's a lot of victim shaming. I feel like, when it's on this side, like right away, it always comes back to, just bashing the victim. They did something, they said something, they were ill, you didn't know. Just anything that makes that person, shown in a dimmer light. And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah. There's this still, unfortunately to this day, there's a thought that uh, black lives aren't worth as much, and that you know just the people this person doesn't have people who might actually give a damn about them. It's weird that there are so not just people who care, but so many people who actually care about this black life that's gone. Like because you really like see the
Mm-hmm.
surprise by some people in the
Mm-hmm.
pushback. Like they had like they're surprised that what do you mean? Excuse me. What do you mean he's not trash?
Somebody
Like
cares.
somebody cares really?
Right. Right. Mhm. Did you see? I'm trying to think. There's a so I told you I watch a lot of ID, right? So and as we've been talking, I was trying to recollect in my head. So there was a man. He's actually a black man. I cannot think of his name right now. He murdered black women in double digits. I can't believe. I think his name's Lester. Um, the story stands out.
Of course it's Lester.
I,
Of
I
course it's
feel like
Lester.
he might be Lester. Yeah. Well, I just remember him very clearly because number one, he killed a lot of minority women, right? And so that's number one. So you were out there killing your own, and I feel like he did that because he felt like that was the population that nobody would care about being gone, and it's sad because he's a black man. Um, but even when they interviewed him, he never copped to it, but I just think about all of those in my head. I can see how, they put the pictures up and I see all those black women's faces. And a lot of them were homeless or drug addicts or prostitutes, and so it just goes to show it's like, so if you want to get away with murder, which she did for many, 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 many years, um, you know, these are your perfect victims because nobody cares.
Yeah,
And it took a long time
yeah, and
until
that
and he murdered a lot of women until all of a sudden it took, it's that one family that's like, no, mm-mm. So she's not just going to go unnoticed, right? We're not just going to forget about her. And I think that's kind of how the ball had got started rolling. But that's how that makes me feel when I watch that.
yeah, um, yeah, exactly right, and that's happened. That well, still happens, but yeah, um, killing people who won't be missed, because of you know because they're homeless, because they're a sex worker. By the way, there's a whole other conversation that we can have about sex workers and how they're viewed and treated on
Mm-hmm.
this planet. Um, but yeah, that definitely happens. Lester.
Yeah,
I wonder if that's his last name. His first name
come
is
on, look.
Mo. Mo Lester.
That's
Yeah,
that's.
that sounds right. That
Uh,
sounds right.
wait, I'm gonna tell you. I'm pretty sure his name is Lester.
I'm sure it is. I just didn't know if his first name was Mo, because it would make sense. Um,
Yeah, I feel like he. The other one, there's not that. Believe it or not, there's not that many. There's
not that
not
many
quite
what?
as many like this. You know how there's. Yeah, this is him. No, I'm sorry. I had no. Lester is a white gentleman. Um, he's a. Oh no, this is another one. He's Samuel Little. Okay, so that's your second one,
Mhm.
and he killed over 90 women. He's a black man. Most of his victims, black women. Black women. Sad. These are the things that they just make you you're like. Why did you go out and kill all your own women? You know. Um, Sad, right?
It is.
And so many of them.
We got. Yeah, I think black women have enough problems and issues without having to worry about being killed by our own. Uh, yeah.
And that's why I say,
Yeah.
those are the things where it's like, unfortunately, though, it doesn't matter if you're a sex worker, it doesn't matter if you're a drug addict, it doesn't matter if you're a homemaker, if you're a pastor, right? It doesn't matter what you are. So we're all women, we're all human beings. And the bottom line is, if you make a decision and you say, okay, because most of these women, this is how they get killed. I say, you can take me on a date, or I'll come to your house for. We either going out on a date, or I'm coming to your house for a date, right? And so that person puts their trust in you, and you know, then you take advantage of them, or you sexually assault them, or you murder them, and so that's why that's why I always say, like I said, I stress it to my daughters, like, so it seems like a small decision that you make. It's not a small decision. It can change your life or end your life. You go to someone's house, you're in their house. People have their houses set up in really weird ways. A couple of these people, they have basements. They have all kinds of things that I couldn't fathom. But again, I don't have that mindset, but it's real. Also, I tell her, don't go to people's houses. I tell all my cousins, I don't do it myself, but I'll tell them too when it's, oh, I met somebody. Yeah, don't go run into his house now. Just be careful for a second, because you don't know him.
You mentioned that you watch a lot of ID, and yeah, like, a lot of several women that I know watch like a lot of ID, crime drama, uh, crime
As
documentaries and whatnot. Um, and I guess it's yeah, it's a question like why so many women watch these things. I personally think the answer is simple. I think you got to study the competition. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
you got yeah. Unfortunately, like I'm only half joking when I say that. You got to study the competition. You got to
yeah.
know your personnel. Like this goes back to a lot of women maybe not outright viewing every single man that as a threat, but yeah, like that's something that we as men kind of have to accept because we are the you know if historically we didn't do these things, I'm pretty sure women wouldn't have to be as cautious or treat every man as a
This is
potential threat.
correct.
Um, yeah, if there's like if there's a I don't know, there's a history of us loving up on strange women or women that we don't know or any woman, be a totally different story. But unfortunately, today, 2026, at least, women have to be extra on guard because you know, it doesn't matter if, you know, 1 out of 10 or 100 out of 10,000 or whatever the stats may say. They can't afford to be wrong.
Correct.
Like the the consequences of them being wrong are greater than for us being wrong. Like I said before, I my biggest thing is getting somebody pregnant or getting or coming home with a disease. That's like that's the biggest consequence that I feel that I face. That's not the same. Like women have like those two things are definitely shared by women, but those are the only things, and I'm pretty sure it's not even top 10. you know, there's a host of things that they gotta consider that I wouldn't even occur to me to even think about, just because it's happened. It's either happened to them or they know someone it's happened to, and again they can't afford to be wrong. The stakes are too
It
great for
really is
them to be wrong. Because yeah, cause like even if something does happen and they don't, they hopefully survive it. Now you got to deal
correct.
with that. Who's going to believe him, or am I going to
Right.
be blamed for this? Is it worth talking about this and trying to um, have this person? Is it worth trying to seek justice now? Um, Society is such that if something happens to a woman, we like you said, blame her. It's all about what she did or didn't do, said or
Mm-hmm.
didn't say. And, and then if she doesn't come forward, or what happens a lot of times, like after she may come forward years after the fact. Is, well, why did you wait so long? Well, uh, probably because 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 men who sexually assault somebody don't see the inside of
Correct.
a jail. If you tried to follow this and tried to seek justice and you went through years and years or months and months of being interrogated in trials, just for this person to walk. I mean, again, I say this person walked. That assumes that person was
Right.
actually charged.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You got to charge the wolf. That's for sure.
I'm sorry, I
You
skipped some
skipped
I skipped some
steps for
steps.
sure.
Let's
Yeah.
let's back
Yeah.
on up because like in order to be let off, you have
Right.
to go to trial. That doesn't always happen. In order to go to trial, you got to
Correct.
be charged. That don't that don't happen.
Indicted.
You might
Hmm.
might not. Yeah, gotta be indicted, gotta be arrested. Hell, you might not even have to have a
That's
talk
for
with the
sure.
police.
That's for sure.
So
It's a lot
there's
of
so
steps.
many steps that
It's a
might not happen.
lot, a lot, a lot of steps. And but you know the worst part about all of that is regardless of the outcome, if there's a legal avenue that's taken or not, you still have to carry that with you, right? So regardless of what you do afterwards, it still has happened. And now that's something that you have to carry with you for the rest of your life, right? And so it stays with you in everything else that you do, any kind of any kind of romantic situations you'd want to be in moving forward, um, going out and being just being out in public, all those things, it changes your life, it changes everything. So one decision can really alter what happens in your life, so it's important, and I don't perseverate over it, right? So don't get, I'm not like every single second, oh my gosh, I don't have like the the alarm, the red alarm go off every time if I meet someone. But I'd be a fool as a female if I was not cognizant of the fact that I am a female and that I am at some times considered to be a target by some people, right? And so this is whether I don't care if I'm going out to the store, if I'm going to the Walmart. I didn't seen enough shows on ID where people straight up got abducted from the Walmart parking lot, right? Because someone was following the woman all around the store and she did not know, completely unaware of it. Why? Because she's just living her life as she should be able to do. But so for that's why when people say, why would you watch stuff like that? Because I feel like it's education, right? I feel like it's things that you take with you, stuff that you wouldn't think about that would happen every day, but it happens every day somewhere, and it's happened to someone else. So, not that you need to go around and be, like, oh my gosh, every single day I'm nervous, I'm scared, but you should be very much aware. You should be very much aware because unfortunately, some of the people that these things have happened to, if they were just a little bit more aware, maybe some of the things that have happened would not have. Because sometimes there are red flags about people, and we kind of, in every situation, sometimes we get little spidey senses and we ignore them, and we shouldn't. You should just be aware of those things because a lot of times I always trust my instinct. So that's why I tell the people, yeah, just if your gut tells you something, it tells you something for a reason, especially as a woman. Like if you're feeling uncomfortable, because I have to be honest with you, there's probably only been one time in my whole life that I've actually ever been around a male and I felt uncomfortable, and I bet you I was 100% right. I to this day, because I can still feel it as I think about it and him, and I feel like if I didn't make the decision that I made, my life might be different. Maybe I might not have a life right now. Who knows? So it's not something I feel, that I felt all the time, but I still just make sure that I'm aware of it.
Yeah, it's real. Everything you said is accurate. I would just add that on the other side, we could probably help by not giving the women of folk so many reasons to have to take so many precautions. Like there's that's always a possibility as well. But what do I know? I'm just a guy. Uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what what do I know? But yeah, there's always going to be the kind of how you said before the not all men crowd. But I put it to you like this, if if I got bit by a dog, whether it's a dog that I know or a dog that I don't, um, every dog that I encounter from then on, I'm going to look at twice, just a little bit. There's going to be some hesitation. That's just, and it's not the dog's fault, but it's just a natural consequence of what happened. Um, because I don't want, yeah, the next dog might be the sweetest, most kind dog ever, but I can't afford to be wrong. Like the, the consequences are getting bit again, and that's not a consequence that I want to accept. So yeah, it's not. it's not on me. But it's enough. And rather than continuing to just say, fall back on that, I think we got to take some accountability, and you know, get, talk to, correct, shame, whatever we got to do on our side, so that it's no men. Like how about like, how about that? Like how about no men? Like I know it's unfortunately probably impossible, but I would like to see
Yeah.
us get to that point. But it's not incumbent on women. It's on us. We know how dangerous we are. Um, I said it before. I can't think of any woman that's ever declared war on a country. So, um, so we know how we are. Last, hopefully, probably last kind of quick topic. Not sure if you're aware, Shay, but a few days ago, it's really been kind of blowing up online, on social media. I think CNN had a report where there's apparently, what can only be described as a rape academy. There's a website. I don't know if it's still up or down, but there was a website where, men basically went and learned how to, like, their assault women, whether they were married, girlfriend, or whatever. They users would, like, post pictures of, like, for example, a man posted, a picture of his wife that he had drugged and assaulted, and, like, the comments were like, "This is something that I wanted to do, but I didn't know how," and, like, they're getting tips on how to do this, and
Wow.
yeah, and now sit with what I just told you, and then just sit with that, and just how fucking disgusting that is. Um, because in true male fashion, this is what we made the issue into. Um, so I just told you what this thing is, and you would think, oh, that's terrible. So part of the report was that, um, though depending on the source, depending on how it was reported, it was stated that in the past month there were either 62 million views, clicks to this website, or 62 million men visited this website in the past. So there's a little bit of an inconsistency. I think that the actual fact was that there were 62 million views to this website, which was probably less than 62 million men. Somehow, though, that turned into the main point, as if there's an acceptable number of visitors to this site that teaches you how to assault and drug and rape women. Not the point of contention was that the 62 million men stat was
What difference
incorrect.
does
Like someone that,
62
yeah,
million of
yes,
anything? I don't give a damn what it is. 62 million is crazy. Crazy.
yes,
Disgusting.
correct. And yeah, like, and just seeing, it got to the point where, like, because obviously content creators talk, they have their own spills, takes on it. But it got to the point where, like, the creators were, like, basically pointing out, just pointing out, comment sections, of men. It just them pointing out that it was 62 million clicks or views, not men. Someone actually went further and was like, well, if it's this, then that means that it's only, uh 20 million men, and that's like 1% of the population. It's like,
Right.
who the
Who
fuck
cares?
cares?
Who cares?
It's like who it's
Right.
supposed
It
to be
should be
zero.
zero. I mean, what on earth?
Like it's supposed to be zero because just this not
No,
supposed to be a site
it's
in the
not
first
supposed to be
place.
something you do. You didn't make a
Correct.
website.
Like why would it? Yeah. Like why would it occur to you? Like, do you have any idea how many fucking steps you have to take to get to this point just to get this
Right,
thing set up?
right, right.
Just to take it from concept to fruition. How many steps you gotta have to go through, and then however many steps it takes to attract people, to attract this many
Yeah, why do
views.
people even know that it's a thing? So what the hell are you doing online? Like, what are you
That's
Googling? What is going on? How do you know
correct.
that that exists?
Yeah,
I didn't hear anything about it. I mean, my goodness, it's terrible.
yeah. It's I don't know. I clearly I didn't bother to find out what the name of the site was. Wasn't important to figure out what the name of the site was. But just like the article and then just some of these comments, it's like I think like the most outside of that, the second most common comment that I saw was some version of this is why women chose the bear.
Hmm.
Um, and it's like, yeah, like what do you what do you
Yeah,
think of that? Because again, we have this website where not only are women being drugged and assaulted, but it's treated like it's like a course
right.
that you can take and learn and apply. So you again this is the intent of creating more of this, and your concern is that clicks versus men is that that's the issue,
Yeah,
not that
you're
this thing
you're trying to make
exists.
people experts on
And
how to do such things, and you worrying about. I
yeah,
mean, and it just. I'm still on the fact that what difference does it make? 62 million is 62 million of anything. Why is there 62 million of anything associated with that? It's crazy to me. I did not hear about that. I think that's disgusting. I think it's disgusting. And that see, but that it shows you why you have to be, and this is the thing, you said that was somebody who did this to a girlfriend or a wife or something, and then you have someone else commenting saying, I would like to do the same thing. Why would you like to do that to someone who you're already in a relationship with, right? So I would imagine that you shouldn't have to sexually assault said individual, right? Because you're married to them or you're in a committed relationship with them. So why is that a desire? What about that is appealing? And what about you makes you think that that's okay and it isn't wrong?
yeah. And this is why simply saying that I'm one of the good ones or I'm a good man it rings hollow because like just how you said, this is a husband doing this to his wife, the person who took a vow to honor and protect this person did not only did this but posted it for others to learn from and repeat. And you have another husband or significant other saying, yes, this is something that I've wanted to do but
Hmm.
didn't know how. Thank thank you for the tips. This is what like, and I'm not trying to belabor belabor this. It's just that when you have people like this is what I meant about being on the other side of us. We were taught, husbands are
Right.
the good
That's
guys.
your protector.
Like that's what a
Hmm.
good guy looks like. So if a good guy is doing that, what the fuck is a good guy? How are you or insert woman here supposed to know what a good guy is because
Right.
that's what a good guy does. Because that looks like something that someone who isn't a good guy would do. But yet you got these two people who doing the same thing.
You have
What am I
some
supposed to do?
people who have done the same exact thing and who are now in jail.
Yeah, it's
Because you're not
weird
supposed
because
to slip somebody
you know
drugs and then have sex
yeah
with them, right? It's illegal. And so it's funny. It's funny. It's like, oh, I'm the husband, I'm the boyfriend, so it's okay for me to do it. But if somebody that she doesn't know does it, it's bad when they do it, but it's not bad if I do it. So and that's an interesting
yeah and it's
concept,
like
like an interesting mindset for someone to have.
yeah like you say we talk about women wearing certain things, and they say, well, you might not be a whore, but you're wearing a whore's uniform. Okay, well, you might not be a rapist, but you're certainly wearing a rapist uniform. like that's
Here's the other bomb.
like that is
Oh.
boom. like like
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah,
nasty work.
for real.
Like what am I? Yeah. So it's like, what is? How are we supposed to? Or yeah, no. How are we supposed to um, make women feel safe when they literally have no idea what safety looks like because the people who are supposed to be safe aren't safe. Even the people in jail, the few compared to the number of incidents that actually are caught, how many of them are husbands, fathers,
Mm.
brothers, aunts? I'm sorry, uncles,
Yep. Yep.
pastors,
Woo.
teachers, doctors. You know, people
Yes.
who are supposed to be
Yes.
held, people who are supposed to be
Yes.
leaders and held in high
Absolutely.
esteem. We don't talk about that. So like, if all of these can be subject to such bad behavior, what's safe? Like, it would appear that the safest thing would be to not engage. And as a dude, I really can't argue with.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't matter if I've never done it, if I wouldn't even think of doing it. Most women aren't going to take that chance, and that's their choice. That's their right. It's not my place, or not my. This is what I'm trying to say. It's not my job to, I guess, convince them. I need to be better, and I need to call it out where I see it. That's that's
Mm-hmm.
that's what I can do. So that's what I'll focus on doing. Um, cause yes, cause some of y'all ruining it for us, man. And like, so are you gonna let the behavior of a few ruin it for the rest? Yes, that's what y'all doing.
Yes. Unfortunately, these kind of circumstances, that is the outcome. Unfortunately, listen. Everybody practices self-preservation, right? So that's what it's about. Safety and preservation. And so, in order to do that, that's what you have to do. Because I can tell you that for women who don't, I mean, it's just they have the stories. I've heard so many stories, even just in work and things, different people that have come to see me over the years and they talk about the things that have happened to them. Listen, you'll be talking to somebody who's 80 years old and will still tell you about a circumstance like that happened to them when they were 30. They don't forget.
Mhm.
It never stops bothering them.
And it's just something that I'm kind of experiencing now. This is like the fact that it happens so much in our families. Like we always look at it as something that's external as opposed to internal. But again, like I said before, how many of those people are fathers, brothers,
Grandfathers.
uncles, uh, grandfathers, stepfathers, what have you? Like there, there's a family
Right.
on the other side of that.
Oh, yeah.
So That's the part that we missed. The
Mm-hmm.
other side of that. Um, so you know, I remember my aunt talking about his my uncle their marriage, their kids, and she always said she I guess my uncle had a son outside of marriage, but it was called a bonus child. So it's just funny just the
Mm-hmm.
terminology that we used, or you know the words and the terms that we use to talk about sexual assault, um, or in some cases pedophilia
Mm-hmm.
in our family. Because I think my mom was talking about she was talking about a story, and I'm like I'm putting it together, and I'm like it sounds like she was underage, and he's like yeah, or it sounds like that was a family member. So not only is it sexual assault, not only is it pedophilia,
Yes.
it's incest, and it's just like any other situation. If it's outside,
Right.
we would call it what it is. But it just is there's just I don't know this need to like protect, I guess, the men more so than the women, because we don't give a shit about the girls. The girls are always fast. That's why whatever
Mm-hmm.
whatever happened to them happens. But it's just this need to like protect something and not call
Mm-hmm.
it what it is. And it just becomes normal. It's this person was always happy and whatnot. And I was like, no, it sounds like he was a serial rapist, and we just swept it under the rug. Um, I think that might be why the person that he had sex with, who by the way we should call them victims, um, that might be the reason why her
Right.
life has spiraled and turned
Correct.
completely to shit. Because when she couldn't turn to family to help her, she turned to the next best thing, which was drugs, alcohol, sex, or whatever. But instead of recognizing that, we just cast her out and protected the rapist.
Exactly.
That seems weird to me. It seems very weird to me. And I don't know. Maybe I've I've never been close to my family for a variety of reasons. Um, but but all those reasons were
Mm-hmm.
before I heard this. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like,
Mm-hmm.
so it's like I'm wondering like if I was closer to my family, like what would what side of the fence would I be on? Because it's like I can't imagine looking at it any other way than what it is. But at the same time, I've always kind of been on
Mm-hmm.
the outside. Like I've never been even my mom to us, like she talks to more members of her family than I do. Mainly just because, but also I just like I keep to myself. Like I don't talk to a lot of people in general. Like it doesn't matter
Right.
if it's family or not. I just prefer to be alone. That's got me into trouble. But I'm like I just prefer to be alone. But because I've been on the outside, I guess I don't know. I'm not tainted, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
or I look at things as kind of
Objective.
what
Yeah.
at face value. Yeah, that's exactly it. So it is like you're telling me something, and I'm like, I hear the words you're saying, but the words you're saying sound a lot like sexual assault and incest and rape. I don't know why we're calling it something different. I damn sure don't know why this person is still walking
Mm-hmm.
around among
Mm-hmm.
us.
Mm-hmm.
like that's the part that
Yeah.
confuses me. It's just like I don't, like you put an uncle in front of his name and he's good. The fuck?
It's an
Like,
unfortunate truth. It really is. And it's sad. And you're right. And it's the girls, the girls are fast and nobody talks about that. And a lot of stuff is this person is, that's just the way that person is. And, he was always like that. Or people have gone to tell their story, and they have been accused of not being truthful, and so it's again, it's funny because that's something that can start in you all the way from you as a child, you know, um, and when those things happen to you as a child, it affects you even more so, because remember, I was just talking to you about the patients you have. Some of them are talking about stories from when they were women. Some of them are talking about stories from when they were kids, and so that goes to show when you're sitting and talking to somebody and they're in their seventh and eighth decade of life and it still affects them, shows you how traumatic that is. It changes their mindset. A lot of them will tell you about how they some people never got married, some people never trusted, or there's just a lot of things that come along with that. It changes the relationship and the dynamics of the relationships throughout the family too. Sometimes as people get older, because I can tell you now, if I didn't feel supported and something was being done to me, and I knew that family members were aware and people didn't protect me and help me, it's definitely going to change the way I feel about you as I get older. And so there's always that part. And some of those people are the ones that, like, the ones that they get labeled. Maybe they're not the ones that needed the label. Maybe they're the way they are for a reason. And sometimes we don't tell the whole stories because we protect, especially us. That's something definitely in our community. We will protect. We will let, if it's a cousin, if it's one person out of the family that person's going rogue, we will let that person go to protect whoever else it is in there, and we'll all stand around that one person and let that other person be on the outside.
Yeah, you're right. Like we are very quick to circle the wagons, and for good reason because historically it's we the only people that we've been able to rely on
Mm-hmm.
is us in our family. But that doesn't mean that people in our family can't be
Yeah.
evil as well. Just just like yes, you know, it's dangerous out here for black folks, but that danger isn't just from outside the house.
All
Sometimes
right
it's
now.
inside the
That's
house.
it.
We gotta. There's nothing wrong with recognizing that. There is everything wrong with protecting rapists and pedophiles and just wrongdoing and casting out the victims because in our eyes, I guess they're the rogues or they're expendable. I just said I don't. I am. I'm not that way. I can't do it. I just I
Yeah.
have too many questions.
Mm-hmm.
I have way too many questions. I don't care how old these people are. Um, like if they passed away, doesn't matter. Like my opinion of them has changed because it's like that's another thing. I don't believe death like absolves you of the
Absolutely
wrongdoing
not.
that you did in life. Like that's I
Don't
don't
have a
think
damn
like I
thing
don't
to do with it.
I
Yep.
have a
I'm with you 100% on
yeah
that.
like I'm yeah like don't speak ill of the dead. Why not? Did did you see all the shit he did while he was alive?
Most of those people, if they was alive, they
Like
still be
I'm
doing
supposed
that
to
shit.
exactly like no rest in piss. Okay, I hope that you were down
Yeah.
there screaming up at
Yeah.
us.
Some people, some people,
So,
guess what? At least in their death, other people get solace and peace. And they cannot do whatever it is that they were doing while they were alive. So there's just that. Yeah, I never been, I can't stand when people do that. As soon as somebody dies, they make them like they were the best person in the world. Hey, listen, no, they were who they were, right? And that's just it. I mean, you know, they're just dead because their spirit has left that body. But whoever they were when that spirit was in there is who they were. So we're not going to talk like they're an angel today, knowing that yesterday they was a devil.
exactly. I asked him a similar question. I'm like, so would you keep that same energy for Hitler? No? Okay then. Okay, he'll have been dead damn near 100 years, and he's still getting all the
As
smoke
he
as
should.
he should,
Yeah, that's true.
as
That's
he
true. Yeah,
should.
you gotta. I mean, you just
All right.
gotta. You just gotta be real with it. You can't just act like everything
Yeah.
is when they died. Okay, now they're an angel. You know, now they never did anything wrong. That's not the case. Yeah, that's not the case.
Go go to Israel talking about
I know
Hitler was an
that's
angel.
right.
See what happened to you.
I know that's right.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah,
Get it? That man been going.
that's
They still
right.
got their foot on
As
his
they
neck.
should. They said, "Listen, you
Okay.
can't over here pull our stuff
As
up. You
they
know what I mean? Messed
should.
up black. Listen, look at all the decades and decades and decades and decades of shit from him. You know, that's the kind of stuff that happens. People are still affected by
Yeah.
his
Entire
actions.
yeah entire lineages of people just wiped out. So no, it's not. I'm not letting up on
No.
Uncle Charlie just because he's gone.
Mm-mm.
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay, I hope, in fact, I hope what he did in life is
Mm.
happening to him in death.
Mm.
I can only
Right.
hope. I can only wish that.
Right. You
I
gotta
can only
hope like
wish.
some. You gotta get some of that back. You gotta get back what you give out. When you do such things like that, it's like you just hope that you get some of that back somewhere.
You got to.
Yeah.
You got to. Yeah, I don't, I don't do that. I just can't. Like, I don't have.
Mm.
I'm not built like that. I'm just, I'm not. Um, but yeah, as we wind down on this episode, I well, I want to first say that I hope that the women that I mentioned and all the women that were not mentioned, all the women that will never be mentioned, because we just will never know. I hope they find the peace and death that they were not able to get in life. To the perpetrators, fuck you very much.
That part.
For taking um these women from us way too soon. I wish you nothing but the worst. And I'll just end by again just saying their names because again it's important, and I wish I had them all, but you don't have them all. So just one more time, Dr. Serena Fairfax, Pastor Tammy McCollum, Florida Vice Mayor Nancy Matea Brown, Ashley Robinson, aka Ashley Janae, uh, Qualicia Barnes, Devontae Curtis, and Barbara Deer. As I said, I hope you find a peace in death that you were not able to find in life. And yeah, we just gotta do better as far as protecting Black women, women in general, Black women in particular. I I'll always be honest. I'm more concerned with Black women. I know what I just said, but
I
we need to
hear
be better at.
you.
You know what's going to happen. Like what about like fuck? Honestly, fuck y'all. Like I like, and I'm not trying to be flip, but um, this is a conversation about Black women, and it just matters a lot. It matters more to me than anyone else because I'm a part
Mm-hmm.
of that community. It bothers me when people who look like me hurt and kill people who look like me. Like we have enough shit to worry about. You don't need to be um, hurting and killing each other, particularly the quote unquote weakest and smallest among us. So yeah, I extend all the love and grace to Black women. Does that mean that I don't care about when white women or women of other populations get hurt? No, but it happens to us a lot, and in the 400 and whatever years we've been here, people don't really care about us. Somebody has to, I'll do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'll do it. Um, if if it bothers you, I don't care. I don't care. I was going to say something a lot meaner, but it's Sunday, so I'll keep it cute.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, protect black women can't just be a catchy phrase that we put on on a t-shirt. It has to be something that we actually do. It's one of those things where you actually have to be proactive in it. It doesn't happen through
Yeah. Right.
osmosis.
Right. Right.
You can't just wake up and have black women
Mm-hmm.
protected. You can't fall into protecting black women.
Right.
You actually have to do it.
Right.
And you know, no, it's not one of those things that is I guess straightforward. Like, if I do this, then this happens. But if you see someone, a man, or woman, sometimes there are women who unfortunately uphold patriarchy and anti-black rhetoric, but call it out, challenge it. Um, like
Mm-hmm.
that's a start, and that's something that I need to be better at, something that I will be better at. Doesn't mean like no one's saying you got to jump in front of a bullet. Um, be nice. Um, but maybe catch some of these men before they get to that point, so that it
Yeah.
doesn't even become an issue.
You can
Like we can do
definitely,
that.
listen,
We
all
can
these people,
definitely,
friends and people that they
we
talk
can.
to, and they say things just like those people on that website you were just talking about, and people making comments and all. Yeah. So that's the time to kind of intervene. Try to intervene early before, and maybe you can save someone.
Yeah. Um. And last I guess last thing I'll say is talk to the women in your life. That
Mm-hmm.
helped me. Um. Just talk to yeah. Ask them. Does this make sense? Does this seem right? You'll be surprised how many times they'll say no. That does make sense. And just the matter of factness and casualness that they say,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
like,
Mm-hmm.
no, that doesn't make sense. And and then ask yourself why that is, because they've been dealing with it from the time that they got here. It's
Mm-hmm.
just ingrained in the system. Like it's confusing to you because, like, wait a minute, it doesn't make sense. Like, no, but you know they go through it because what are
Exactly.
you gonna do?
Yeah.
They what are you gonna do what are they gonna do when the meltdown in the world? You know that's where we come in if we're serious about uh, helping out and protecting women. So um, with that, I think I've said everything I had to say. Shay, I'll let you have
Yeah,
the last word
so
before we
I just
wrap
want
out
to
here.
just reiterate, to all the women out there to just, make smart decisions. Think about yourself first. If something doesn't feel right, go with your gut. Um, just try to protect yourself because unfortunately, there's not a lot of people out there that are looking to help protect us. So we got to do it for ourselves. So let's help each other and, just really think about your choices before you make them.
All right, and with that, uh, we up out of here. So we'll catch you next time.